Am I right to go?
Oh God.
Okay, so welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today we've got Lucinda Wright from the Resource House. Why can't I remember that? I've got founders
do you know what? Whenever people ask me, I have to repeat it multiple times. It isn't a name that sticks, I've noticed. I might have to change the name.
The Resource. In my head I've got Founders House.
Oh, that's nice.
I don't know
like
why.
that.
Yeah.
There we go, maybe that's
See, we're brainstorming already. Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Manchester SEO Podcast. Today we've got Lucinda Wright from the Resource House and coming to talk to us about her career and what you're doing now and all sorts. So, for the benefit of people that don't know you, what do you do now?
Absolutely. Well, I am a sales strategist.
Yes.
I work with businesses to help them with their sales aspect of the business. So, looking at from the sort of the starting point all the way through to customer retention and work with founders of businesses to do that.
Oh, amazing. And so that I read somewhere that you're sort of like fractional sales director and things like that as well, so there's different areas I suppose that you can get involved with.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with primarily founders. They're most likely ambitious and wanting to grow their business, and I can sort of work from just looking at their strategy, their sales strategy, and creating a plan of how they execute that, all the way to, for a limited amount of businesses, I work as a fractional sales director.
Okay.
So what that means is basically I'm working with them on a weekly basis to have that sales leadership within their business, but they're probably just not at a point where they're ready to have that full-time hire or in a position to put that in. They're at that halfway house of they know they need it, the business needs it, but they're not quite at the full-time point yet. So I'm that sort of in-between stage.
Sure. And did you always want to go into sales?
No, definitely not when I was growing up.
I think most people fall into sales, don't they?
And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. I remember my uncle telling me over a family meal over the table that I should, me and my cousin, we should absolutely get into sales. It's a great thing. And I thought, oh my goodness, I can't think of anything worse. You just see all those cringy things about it.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't ever think that I would be in sales.
No.
But here I am, and I fell into it sort of actually at the start of my career, and I've not come out of it yet, because there's so much more to it than just thinking it's this cringy, I've got to sell
smile
something.
And dial, that's that kind of thing, isn't it? Just go and make more phone calls. That's what it used to be like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love people and I love businesses, and that's what I get out of it, because it's very understanding people. And it's the business side as well of sort of helping a business grow. So I get to tick both those boxes with it.
So what did you study?
I did psychology and counselling at uni, and I'm still really passionate about it. I think there's a lot to be said for it. I love that aspect, and I'm a people person. I love talking to people. I love understanding where people are at and helping them along their way. And I suppose that just sort of translated. It helps me in terms of understanding people. It's probably given me that sort of that starting point. And who knows, I might end up pursuing it for another time in my career.
And then, so you went from university. What was the first kind of role in the working world for you?
Well, I didn't actually really want to go to uni. All I was desperate to do finishing school was to go travelling. I wanted to go and explore the world, but it was very much do uni, and it was the right decision that I got that guidance of do uni and then do it, because I probably wouldn't have ever gone to university if I'd just gone travelling. So as soon as I finished, that was the first thing I did. I went and did ski season. And then I did about a year and a half travelling around the world, and then I went back and did a couple more ski seasons. So I probably did about 3-4 years, working overseas and seeing the world, and I loved it, absolutely loved it.
So what kind of places did you get to?
Well, I did my 2 ski seasons in Canada, one in Japan.
Right, okay.
And then travelling wise, I started in South Africa. I went with my best friend. We went to South Africa. We went to Asia. We went to a little bit of time in North America, and then a lot of time in South America, which was amazing. Yeah. We got stuck in Cusco, as we say, which is a place in, if you've heard of Machu Picchu, it's in Peru. We loved it there, and just ended up working in a hostel for about 6 weeks because we just loved it there and the people. Got to meet so many amazing different people from all over the world. It was great time and experience.
When you think about that time, where does your mind go back to? Mainly, was there a favourite destination or?
It would be too hard to pick a favourite because they were all amazing. I think South America was really, really incredible. I loved that, and then I loved doing the safari side of South Africa was incredible. So those are probably. My two
Seems
highlights.
a lot of contrast there. So you skiing in Canada and then Japan. There's 2 quite different, cultures there, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Canada's a great place. Canadians are such lovely, warm people. So it was very nice and welcoming, and I still feel like I've got a base of family there almost. I think my mum was worried I'd never come home. So I'll always have a special place for Canada. And then Japan, completely different cultural experience in terms of the country and the people, and then the skiing and then the resort in terms of how different that is. But amazing experiences.
Japan's the one country I've not been to that I really want to. I'm lucky enough to go most places in the world, but Japan, some really beautiful parts of it, and the history of the country, and anyway.
And unfortunately, when I was there, it was when the tsunami happened, and I had planned to go down to the South Island for the summer, which is, all the cherry blossom and everything, which would be amazing. But the tsunami happened, so I ended up coming straight home, and that's actually sort of what then was the start of my career. That I just sort of found myself at home with no plan, and right, okay, I need to probably get a job.
Well, so where were you when the tsunami hit, and did you feel the ground shake at the time, or?
So I was actually skiing at that moment. I was on a chairlift. We tried to work out, and because one of my friends said she was adamant she felt a bit of something, but no, we were far away. So I was on the North Pole in Hokkaido, which is quite a distance from where the epicenter was. But when we got back, everyone did say, there was where we were, there was glasses shaking and things, but nothing like, the trauma and things that happened near it. So we were fortunate that we weren't.
A friend of mine was, so his dad is a musician in the BBC Philharmonic, and they were touring Japan at the time, and when it hit they were on a bridge that was swinging about a bit. A friend had gone to see his dad play. He'd never really seen him play or tour anywhere. So he thought, well, Japan, I'd love to go there. Why don't I come over and see you? So they had this lovely plan there, and he flew in and got a hotel in Tokyo and fell asleep because he'd been awake for 24 hours, and he just kind of slept through it. And woke up to about 300 messages on all sorts because no one could get hold of him.
Oh, wow.
Because obviously the news was going off everywhere, and I wonder how he is and what's going on. And he put a message on social media which was to the kind of I'm all right, shaken but not stirred, that kind of thing. And didn't reply to anyone. And you're like, what?
Gosh, everyone's panicking.
So that always makes me kind of smile a little bit at the time, as to someone that had no real idea of the scale.
Yeah. Lucky though.
Yeah, lucky. Do you think, when you look back at that the doing this instructor work really helps with sales side of things and communicating with people? I suppose there's like a coaching aspect to it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I hadn't really thought about that ever before. And yeah, you're absolutely right, because I was teaching people from all over the world.
Yeah.
So that communication piece was a big thing, and also teaching from children to, you know, grown adults that were, you know, really competent. So also the levels and ages and mixed abilities was another factor. So, and everyone sort of maybe adapted to different styles. So you had to shift that. So I think it definitely did.
It's really interesting to see like what people have done before that make them good at what they do in work. And with sales, a lot of it is, you know, experiences they've had as children or things they've done. So I think travelling is quite important, because you get to meet different people and you're really out of your comfort zone. Maybe there's a language you don't speak, so you've got to pick up on different indicators as to whether someone's friendly or not. And most people are in the world. If you've been there and you don't read the papers, you feel that everyone is quite friendly, and more friendly than people have you believe. But I found that really interesting, you know, that something that you probably had to use every day helps you talk to people you've never spoken to before about whatever it is that you're selling or solution.
Absolutely. And you do have to adapt. You do to who you're speaking to, because they listen in different ways and they digest information different ways, and you've got to understand that sort of how they're working and how they're thinking. You have to put yourself in their shoes a lot of the time. So absolutely. And I suppose that goes back to my psychology as well. I find all of that really, you know, interesting. I really like connecting with people, and so that's definitely something that I've done throughout. It's sort of part of my DNA, I guess.
Do you we should probably move forward a bit, because I want to talk a bit about what you do now. But when you first went into sales, what was it that made you think, actually I quite like this now, I can see this as a future? Was there ever a point where that actually happened?
I got to a point in my career where I started from the bottom of, you know, being a sales rep, and I saw an opportunity to climb the ladder, as you like, and that was definitely appealing to me. I've always been really ambitious, so sort of having that want to sort of climb the ladder was definitely there for me. That sort of carrot was something that definitely incentivized me. And then I suppose actually being, you know, young and figuring out, actually I can do this. There's the financial reward in it. You know, that I was incentivized, and that was exciting, you know, when you're a, you know, young person and you think, oh gosh, actually I can make a bit of money here. And you know, I wasn't necessarily stupid with it. It was amazing, because I got to save enough money to get a deposit on a house, so you know, I wanted to use it well, but you know, there was that incentive for me to sort of, you know, set up my life.
More than any other career, there is a, you know, if you work harder and do better, you earn more, and that can be really fruitful for a lot of people.
I think you've got to enjoy what you do. I think that's the first thing, and then the money comes with that. Because if you've got that passion and that drive, the money piece naturally comes with that.
I mean, there is a bit of a pattern in your career, isn't there, of going up through the ladder. I saw at Woucher that you went from even took 3 or 4 positions to being, head of sales or something like that. Was it? I can't remember, but there seems to be a pattern of actually climbing the ranks and doing well wherever you went, really.
Yeah, and definitely that's and I suppose that's sort of the process that I went through.
Yeah.
And that was really appealing to me, and I'm fortunate in terms of the businesses I've worked with, but equally I feel I've had an impact on them as well in the part of this, but we've been able to grow those businesses. So if you're delivering growth, you grow yourself as well.
Sure. And so when you you work for Woucher.
Yes. Yeah.
We all remember those adverts.
Yeah.
Waxing Woucher. That. Don't click that one up, Judge, please. What was it about then that, because it grew really quickly, didn't it? It really did. It just took off. It was everywhere for a long time. What do you feel was the major kind of impetus for that?
So it was the timing. So I first started at Groupon, and that basically happened when the last recession was happening.
Sure.
And then there was this cycle of people needing to be a bit more savvy with their money, and I mean, to be honest with you, I think we're hitting that point again now, aren't we? So that concept of daily deals, where you've got people that want to be spending money, and you've got businesses that need customers, it kind of just gets them together and with an incentive to actually use them, and it works. It works so well because you've got a customer who's getting to do all the things that they want to do with an incentive, and you've got businesses getting a real influx and footfall of people through to their business, and then they're exactly where you want them, and then you've got them spending money, coming back, so it's a really nice ecosystem.
It did seem to work at the time as well, didn't it? Like you say, timing is everything with anything that you
definitely.
What is it that you feel that made you kind of good? I mean, there's one side of sales where you do really well and you hit targets and you perform well, top performer. Then you get promoted, and then suddenly there's a whole new skill set required when you have a team, when you've got to plan, you've got to set out your objectives for the next few years. You've got so much more, isn't there? And often the skills that make you successful at your job aren't the ones that get you further and up the ladder. And leadership. Yeah. Do you think, I don't know where my question is on this, but I suppose how did you find the transition from that as you went up the ladder, as it were?
So I think, you've sort of touched on multiple things there and rather than it just being me, I suppose I see it quite often in businesses that you have high performers in a sales team especially, and those are the people that you think then go to the next level of management. Yeah. But management, like you say, is such a different skill set. And I've seen it firsthand in myself and in teams. I like to think I've got the skill set for both because I was a high performer. But I also like getting teams together and helping others. So I think it's just making sure, I've seen high performers and know that, and they've been honest with me and saying, I don't want to manage people. People don't always want to manage people, but you have to have a route for where their career goes. So there's definitely an avenue there for people that are high performers because they can bring so much value to a business that they need to be able to grow as well. And then you've got the people that are good at managing teams. So it's getting a mix of that. But yes, when you go into a management role, you need to learn a whole new skill set. Absolutely. And I suppose in my career, I've learned sort of these steps a little bit thrown in because I've been in these really fast-paced, high-growth environments where it's, right, we are growing, that, you know, we need another 5 people, we need another 10 people. All of this needs managing, we need a bigger office, and you just... I've learned the way of it, just the doing. You know, you're thrown in at the deep end and you grow with it, which I've learned a lot from it because I had that autonomy to learn on the job, I guess. But equally, there's a lot to be said for getting management training.
When it comes to that side of things, if someone has done really well and is being given the opportunity of, or they've even gone for an opportunity for a management position, would there be any advice you would give them when they're starting out, how to survive in a very new environment? I suppose when you go from being a teammate to being the boss, it's really different, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think there's one thing coming in as a manager and another thing, you've been a part of that team and you're the one stepping up. So a lot of it's to do with the relationship with those people and just establishing how to have that relationship now in a slightly different role. So I think that's a really important piece. I think you need to give yourself the time to actually look at the people, look at you as yourself and how you're going to make this team collectively all together perform to its best and create a plan for that and take the time it needs to nurture it and ensure this team is going to be able to deliver.
I remember I always use this example and it's sport related, surprise. I became captain of a local cricket team, and I was really good friends with 2 guys in the team. And I brought someone else into the club, recruited someone who would take up one of their roles, and ultimately it benefited the team and the club, but I lost 2 good friendships from it. And it's a really tricky thing to... There's a balance there that sometimes you just can't win with. And you might be friends with people, but when there's different levels involved and management, it's tricky to navigate.
Yeah, it can be. And then when you're in these environments like sport or you know, high growth, you're spending a lot of time together. So friendships are formed and you want them to form because you want, you know, you're spending so much time together. You need that camaraderie. But absolutely it is a challenge. And, you know, I've faced it. I know I've had scenarios where, you know, friendships have been there and then you've got that hierarchical shift or vice versa. And it's definitely a challenge that has to be overcome.
So in the current work sphere, what kind of when do businesses usually get in contact with you? You know, and what are the main drivers for them to look at either a fractional sales director or looking to improve their strategy or whatever it is? What are the kind of general scenarios that you come into?
Yes, yeah, and you know there are multiple scenarios because businesses are at different stages, and that, you know, I'm always happy to sort of have a conversation with anyone in any business, and even if it's just initially just as a bit of some advice. But when businesses look to work with me, there's probably a few different scenarios. I'd say they've probably got a proven established product or service, whatever it is, so they've tested it, because I do believe you've got to know what you've got works before you start pumping money into marketing and detailed sales plans. Make sure that you've got something that's working. So you know, I've worked with sort of startup businesses all the way to a business that's 96 years old. So the timeline can be really varied, but you probably want it to be established. That's the first thing. And you want to grow. So the business owner's ambitious, they want growth. Possibly they have come to a plateau and they don't know how to get to the next level. Or they just want more customers, more revenue, as simple as that. And it's how do I do it? And then you've got the businesses that are possibly they're established and they're investing in their marketing piece. And now they're ready for that next stage of the leads are coming in, but how do they convert them? How do they actually get them as customers? I'm looking at that customer journey of from the first conversation they're having all the way through to their onboarding and their retention and keeping them as a customer. There's multiple ways, but it's usually around they're ready for growth and they want to be productive in that. Another scenario of, work with someone who's incredibly busy, so much going on, but not profitable. So actually looking at how they're spending that time of being busy. They're probably working in the business a bit too much rather than on it. So, they're probably doing too much themselves and they need that extra resource.
Or someone to look at it from an impartial kind of position, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And being founders, I think we all know it's really tough. You've got so many job titles really with that. You're doing so many things, and I think that's the hard thing is actually you can't possibly give everything 100% because you're doing so many things. An operational things come up that have to take your focus. So sometimes the sales piece can slip or be forgotten. So by utilising some extra support, that allows you to have a consistent focus on it.
So when you go in and you're looking at the strategy, what kind of where would you start with that kind of thing? So the process, so you understand a bit more about the business first and how they've got there.
So I'd understand how they've got there, then look at where they want to go, and then we can actually work out a plan from there. So here are the goals and how do we get there, and then that's looking at the start of who their ideal customer is, where they are, how we interact with them, what problems they've got, and then through to actually looking at sales process, so what that looks like, what are all the stages that a customer goes through, where are there any bottlenecks, where are we losing people, and sort of really pulling that apart and making it a simple as well sales process that isn't overcomplicated.
Most people know I started out in IT recruitment, and I remember this. Obviously, it's a very social industry for the people in it, and we were in a bar in the city centre, and I remember a manager just kind of looking up, and there's a famous footballer had walked in with a guy called John Amici who played in the NBA, a basketball player, but was from Manchester. And what was interesting was the manager had obviously read his book and started talking about this conversation that John Amici had with his mother when he was early teens, and she'd said to him, what do you want to do? It was over the kitchen table, and he said, I want to play in the NBA. And so then the plan was mapped out. So they had the goal, and it's like, well, what are the little pieces that you do to get there? And I was overhearing this conversation, just fascinated with obviously he's the manager was an ex-rugby player, and he had gone into sales, but he was related this story to what he tells us every day. And they're having this amazing conversation about sales and leadership, but all started from this one conversation where they're like, what's your goal? Right?
Absolutely.
If we're going to get there, we need to do, how do we do it?
And that's the important piece. It's really important to have the goal, but it's equally as important to have a plan of how you get there. And some people can be overwhelmed with, I've got this goal, I'm never going to get there. But actually, if you just break it up and, right, okay, this is our goal for, you know, in a month's time or a year's time and the next, and you layer it, then it becomes actually really quite achievable if you just follow the steps in the process.
Yeah. There's another guy, I read another book, it was these kids that were climbing Everest, and they did it in the end, and they'd written this book, and it was the front of it just said, if you carry on putting one foot in front of the other, you'll get to the top. And it was quite interesting that I thought about it for a while, and I thought it's very like that kind of plan and strategy where it's like, well, okay, we're not quite there yet, but what's the next step that we need to take to get us closer to where we're going?
Yeah, definitely. And it's that consistency piece as well, you know, is important. If you're showing up consistently and doing all those steps that you've taken, it's another...
Are there any scenarios when you talk about consistency? I've had this conversation I went on someone else's podcast, let's not talk about that. But it's about managing people and consistency. Has there ever been a situation where you've had to have a chat with the founder and not about strategy, but about behaviours, and maybe they're not consistent in how they turn up and how they talk to people, and, you know, in terms of leading the company, you know, is there any of those situations?
You've got me thinking. I mean, I am an honest person, so if there's something that needs addressing, I'm happy to. But trying to think about it in terms of a people aspect, yes, you know, I've had to look at how their people are working, and actually people need support and they need guidance, and if that's lacking, then, you know, that they don't know where they're going to.
Sure.
So if you've got a team of people working for you, they need to be aligned with your goal, but you also need to show them what that goal is and bring them in on it. It doesn't need to be sort of all secretive and you just do this. It's really important to have that sort of open team. It's back to that sort of team aspect, and I know, you know, it's really strong in sport as well. You know, if you've got that, everyone's sharing this goal together, it makes it a lot easier.
I've always been a bit obsessed with the thought of, you know, what breeds loyalty, and it's not always how much you earn, although sometimes that helps. Often, if you buy into what someone's trying to do and achieve, that you're more than happy to go along there with it when you know it's clearly your role within that goal is important and means something to you as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I am an incredibly loyal person myself, and it's never actually about finance. That loyalty, I think it is when you connect with people, you can relate to them, and they bring you into this shared goal. You know, all the people I'm very fortunate to work with, I share their goal with them, so I'm on that journey, and I'm really passionate about, you know, getting them to that goal.
Yeah. So we fast forwarded quite a bit from Japan and Canada through to working for yourself. Obviously, it's your business now, and what was the kind of catalyst to going out by yourself?
It really was a catalyst. I didn't actually, honestly, have a plan. It was more the scenario I was in. We've talked a bit about how ambitious I was, and I hit a point where I had, I'm fortunate enough to have two gorgeous children, and they did change things. Not for me straight away. Right. The hardest thing I found to understand was, because I've always really loved working in my career, and I've equally loved being a mum, and I wanted to go all into both, and it's really difficult to do both all in. And that is definitely a challenge I went through for a number of years in trying to understand that. And it was a sort of a journey I went through, I guess. Definitely shifts that happened being employed from becoming pregnant and sort of those changes that happened then. And then going into a role that was an incredible opportunity. It was exactly what I wanted for my career. You know, it was a global business. I was getting to be involved in so many exciting projects, and I got to learn so much. But at the detriment then to my family, that I was working day and night. I was, you know, travelling to other countries. So I had a point where...
Well, we haven't really touched on that, because you were travelling countries, setting up teams, leading, and all sorts. So it was a huge role, wasn't it, really?
Yeah. And, you know, hiring... You know, this was a huge growth business that I was in. It was a tech startup. And it was, you know, heavily invested of literally, you know, can you hire 12 people tomorrow? Yeah. And a lot goes with that. You know, you have got to go through the recruitment process. You've got to go through the onboarding of these people. And it's a lot. So that would be the day. Then there's the making sure we're delivering what the business needs. And then there's the speaking to the US or whatever every night about what progress is happening. So it was quite intense. And I just had this, I came to a point where I thought, this isn't right for me at this point in my life, with my family being so young as well. Because, you know, bedtime's done at 7 p.m. and I've missed their whole day. I didn't become a mum to not see them. So I just made the decision, this isn't right. And then that kicked me into where I'm at now. And it is, I'm so glad I did it. It was the best decision I made. And fortunate that, you know, there was a business straight away that actually needed some support and help, and I went into, and that was the start of what I do.
I'm sure there's a lot of other women in a similar situation where it's time to think, I've got to make a choice, because it's I'm obviously quoting other people. I've got 3 older sisters, so I live in a family that, and friends that have had really similar things, where have been very career oriented, and then they feel that they feel guilty about both. So guilty about not being with the kids enough, and then not being able to go all in on work as well, which so their performance had changed at work, and so having to make a choice.
It's really difficult, and you know, I think things have moved. You know, so my eldest son's 8, so in the last 8 to 9 years, I think there's been a lot of progress made, but there is so much more to be done. And I don't even see it as a problem for just the mums. I think for parents, it's just trying to get that balance of being able to have the career that you want and be able to be the parent that you want. And everyone has different values on what that looks like, but the ability to get it right it's really tough.
There's a bit of pressure to do everything as well, isn't there, these days?
Yes, you know, you've also got everything, you know, social life, what's that one, I don't know, but you know, for me it's really important to keep my friendships there as well. And you know, I have to sometimes say to my friends, I'm really sorry I've not replied for like a week, but I am here.
Do you feel that, because I often say this to people, that I find it funny sometimes, some businesses, it puts a huge pressure on, and I'm probably unpopular for saying this, but to keep a business going while paying for paternity, maternity pay, and having someone else do that work as well, it adds a little bit more stress financially to a business. But also, I feel that there's a lot of the mums I know are machines. the time they have to work, they work, and and they're far more productive in the time that they have than they might have been before. And I think there's like a bit of a switch in the head that goes where they go, right, I've got this time, right, I need to do this, right, go, and then off you go. And do you feel that you do your job differently now than you did before? Is there anything from parenthood that has made you better? That's a better way of putting it, isn't it? Rather than upsetting half the world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you learn so much from being a parent, don't you? And absolutely, time management is one thing. So I was also really...
Time management, that's a good way of putting it.
Yes. Time management. I was really fortunate. I joined a business called the Mum Club, which is fantastic. So that was all about hosting events for mums who are... normal people and got their whole lives and then become mums and facing that juggle. So it was really nice to be a part of that for a time as well. Sorry, I'm digressing, but yes, you learn. It reminded me because we had a conversation once, and actually we'd said hiring a mum is probably one of the best things you can do because that time management, they are not going to mess around. When you clock in, you are grafting. Because you learn how to spin and juggle 10,000 plates at a time. And also there's a huge communication piece there, I think, as well, like the conversations and explanations you have to do as a parent. Actually just simplifying things, it makes you remember just to take a step back and actually think about why we do everything we're doing. So yes, huge on time management. I'm a big believer of blocking your time out so you can have that focus on block time. So that's definitely been a shift for me, I'd say. Yeah,
it's a huge thing at the moment. I think there's a lot people in a similar situation, especially when bills go up and people need, everyone in the family needs to work and choices have to be made on lifestyle or whatever. There's loads of people in a similar situation, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you could have a whole topic on this because it's huge and you could get political and everything. There's so much to be said. But it's tough. But I think, it's tough for everyone at the moment. Costs of everything are really tough. So everyone managing that financial juggle, I think, is feeling it.
So businesses need to grow and earn more money so they can pay more to people. Do you see how I did that? So what advice would you give, a business owner who's probably thinking, I need to scale? What are the main things considerations they might have to look at for that?
Yeah, well, I think just following from what we were saying in terms of, I think you really, really have to understand your customer. You need to know who they are, you need to know where they are, but you need to really know what their problems are. Right. Because ultimately you need to be solving their problems for them. And if you're doing that, then it's a really, really easy way to have that conversation piece. Like sales doesn't have to look scary or sound scary like some people feel it is, but it is as simple as you are giving them a solution. So then that makes your messaging really simple. It means you can align your pricing correctly for those people, and it means that you can have honest, normal, natural conversations with them that are genuine because you're just talking about that problem and a solution. And that's how simple it can be. So I think the customer piece is really, really important. If you get that right, then it makes everything else easier. Yeah, I mean, sales is, solution finding really, isn't it? Absolutely. The famous phrase is, I could sell sand to the Arabs or whatever. I'm not sure whether you can say that these days, but we'll roll with it. But it's not really about that. It's about
if someone's got a real need for what you do, well, where are they? How do we talk to them more? How do we be found? Because we'd have this conversation with our clients where we're talking about, well, then why would someone call you or find your website, or what would they be putting in? What's their problem they want solving? What's the questions they want answering? Why would they inquire with you through the contact form or a phone call? And it's fascinating to see the replies that you can get from business owners, because they're so involved in the everyday part of the business. It's like, okay, well, I'm not sure what they would search for. And in my mind, that's obvious, but it's funny how there's a lot of business owners that don't understand their customer well enough.
It can be a huge blocker, and it's, like I said, it's so important. Because, and also that's another reason why it's important to have someone like you or I, because it's helpful to have another perspective that's not so deep in the business, that can have that sort of outsider perspective too, to add value. But yes, and it goes to the marketing piece is huge, and I'm really passionate that marketing and sales have to work together, because if they don't, then that's straight away, that's a problem, and they need to communicate, because they're all looking after who is this customer and where are they and what do they need. It's answering that same question, but they need to filter back to one another.
It's funny, whether you're a business coach, a purpose coach, a sales coach, a marketing consultant or whatever, I have the same conversations with everyone. It's like, well, you've got to know you need to know your business, what you do, what you provide, and you need to know who wants it, and how would people find you. And it seems like you need to know your stuff better, their stuff better, the requirement for it even better. And then it makes life a lot easier to find them, to talk to people, to the messaging, branding's the same. Absolutely.
Got to relate to them all the time. And then when you've got that alignment, it makes everything so much easier. And it sounds simple what we're saying, and it is simple, but it's just taking the time to actually sit down and really think about it and put some thought and effort into it.
That could be a good thing for anyone to do, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's an exercise anyone can do. So, if you're a founder, I would absolutely sit down and think about who your customer is.
Sure.
And that's a really, really, really good starting point. And then I suppose, sort of another couple of tips on what I do at that point is setting that commercial goal that you want to get to, and I would make it commercial, so it's either revenue based or it's at least numeric, so you've got something that you're working towards that's measurable, and building in those steps of how to get there.
Sure.
Aligning that marketing that you're doing with the sales process. And then my one last sort of big piece, once you've gone through that process, is to review it. We can all make these great plans, but making sure we're actually implementing them and putting them into action is so important. And then review it. So whether you schedule it a time every 6 months or whatever suits your business in its journey, but look at it, because not everything works and you have to change. So look at what hasn't worked, look at why, change it, look at what has worked, and if you've got things that work, then repeat those things.
We had a guy on, George Clark from City Lock and Safe. He said, find out what works and be relentless with it, and that's his mantra with it every day.
I totally agree. You have, and sometimes that is where sometimes it can feel a bit boring, because you find something that works and you've got to repeat it. You've got to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. But there's so many amazing tools out there to help you do some of that repetition now. So if there's anything you can automate it, as long as you're still being human and connecting with that customer, and as long as you're still implementing human with it, repeat. If you've got something that works, just repeat. You don't have to overcomplicate it or make some other tactics up. Just keep doing that.
So what does the future hold Anything exciting coming up?
I've got some hopefully some exciting projects coming up. And you've thrown me with that question, James.
I'm sorry about that. I like to throw things like that occasionally.
But yeah, lots of exciting things with some of the businesses that I work with as well in terms of their growth and where they're going. So
yeah. Well, it sounds like a good place to start. We've just really got going, haven't we, in terms of the sales and that aspect. But I think there's been some really useful bits of information there for people to, some good clips as well, which will go down. But thank you for coming in.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Always happy to chat.
We'll put all your contact details on the description, so anyone that wants to find you, they can go there.
Find me.
The resource house.
Excellent. Thank you.
No problem.